Alrighty guys, we are back for game number 2 between Legacy Esports and Sin Gaming. With that win in that last game, Lynx, Legacy actually punched their ticket to land. They're not confirmed what seed they are yet, but they're definitely finishing in the top 3 this split, so we'll be seeing them down at PAX Australia for the OCE Regional Finals.
Yeah, Legacy are a very, very strong team on land, so I'm sure they're going to be very happy to come back for their 3rd time. Actually, no, it'll be their 4th time this split this year already. Try and take another win, especially when Direwolves now out of the scene. They are looking to be absolute land monsters. Going into picks and bans, we do see both the Camelzots ban for Sin Gaming and Legacy banning away the Skadi.
So yeah, taking away that Camelzots from Freemason, who was very disruptive in the last one. Take away Erlang Shen as well. So Zaze will be on a different jungler this time. The Skadi take away by Legacy. They just do not want to deal with that dog. Terra banned away by Legacy as well. So Shark's going to be on a different support. So definitely going to be a very different draft in this game.
Already speaking of different draft, Ardio not actually banned by Legacy, so immediately Sin Gaming are going to go for that pickup. We saw in the last set, Darksided with Shank playing Ardio, how terrifying Ardio is, and especially if you don't build any sort of anti-healing or some way to actually counter the Ardio, she can just run absolutely rampant through your team.
It's going to be very difficult for Legacy to deal with, but if any team in the OPL could deal with it, it is going to be Legacy. Kakulon locked in now for Legacy, as well as Susano, so that famous Freemason Susano jungler that disrupted Direwolves so much at LAN is going to be playing havoc with Sin's backline. Sobek locked in now, so Shuckle's not going to be able to play that one, or Sharks. So this Sobek pick should be pretty good for Sin. I like Sobek in a lot of different situations, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be an Ardio solo and a Sobek support rather than the other way around. Thor, the jungle pick locked in for Sin Gaming. This is going to be the pick that decides this game, is that Thor pick.
Yeah, especially with Artio already being fairly strong bruising in the teamfights, Thor is much more of a bruiser assassin rather than this rush down Susano style of assassin, so he's also going to be doing a lot of work diving that backline and trying to find a lot of those picks with the Anvil of Dawn. Gep, however, going to be that nice mitigator to try and deal with the constant backline pressure with not only the cleanse, to deal with the insane amount of CC coming out of Sin Gaming, only with just the Ardio and the Thor alike, but also to just give it an extra bit of health and really be the beacon to keep his team alive.
Alright, Sol and Ram banned away by Legacy. Thoth and Hou-Yi taken away by Sin, so limiting limits his options here. Still a couple of different things he could play, but his main kind of, the Ram and the Hou-Yi really what he made his name on. As well as the Kronos, but I don't think they're going to go the Kronos. They're going to go the Jingwei.
Yeah, Jingwei is quite the choice. Obviously, it's a good counter to Sobek because as soon as you get plucked by the Sobek, you can dash immediately back into your team, not to mention Airstrike is a nice way to use that CC immunity, and even against Poseidon, it's going to be a nice way to try and avoid him, hopefully, as he's going to be trying to lock down both the Susano and the Jingwei and stopping them from getting away. And to add to top of that, so we now got Ardio slow, Arnher slow, Poseidon slow, and even Sobek slowing you with the Lurk in the water, so Sin Gaming going much less for that very hyper carry ADC mode and going for a very strong, lots of CC in the team fight.
I don't think I like this Poseidon pick, Lynx, because he can just get chased down so easily by the Susano and by the Kakulon and drawn back into these fights. As well as that, if he gets blinked on by a Geb, it's just a nightmare time for this Poseidon. But that being said, it is one of the oldest combinations in the book, the Thor-Poseidon combo. So if they can get that running early, this all depends on Sin Gaming being able to get a lead early. If they can get some kind of lead in the beginning of the game, the Thor and the Poseidon can really dominate this game. But if they give Legacy even a slight edge here, it might be curtains for Sin Gaming.
Well, luckily in Sin Gaming's fashion, Poseidon has much better clear than Yanis early on, not to mention he's a direct hard counter to Yanis. If you can stop Yanis from going through those portals, as well as stopping the rest of the team entering or leaving a portal, that's a massive stop of mobility on the side of Sin Gaming to kind of slow down the already very active Legacy. They have Jingwei, they have Susano, they have Yanis, all these really high movements. Even Geb, if he can get his full rollout out, can go quite a fair distance, so lots of mobility on the side of Legacy that Sin Gaming need to shut down early.
Osher and Zay is going to be putting some pressure on over on this right-hand side, recognizing that Ardio can be the counter, the carry they need this game, I should say. They're going to look to go ahead and take away these waves early, but I love the response from Shuckles, recognizing his jungler is going to be in the mid lane. He goes ahead and takes away a creep there over in his blue buff, just to give himself a little bit of golden experience in hand. Not as much as he would have liked. I would have liked to see him take that whole buff, but he doesn't want to sacrifice the entire wave to the tower.
Yeah, and I like how Legacy have also decided to put Freemason with Eye Divine. They understand that Yanis, he does need a little bit of help early on, especially against someone like a Poseidon, so not only is now Idavine going to have that level lead over the Poseidon, but also he's able to help Freemason steal away the speed buff as well as looks to be the blue buff. So Legacy not actually losing much from those team fights just due to the fact they were able to just do the reverse invade of what Sin have already just done.
Yeah, so a bit, bit of a wash there for both teams. Neither team really able to get an advantage, but Sin. Oh, that was a good situation for them if they recognized it. If they managed to turn around there onto Freemason Chuckles, they could have potentially found themselves a kill. However, it's not to be. Tomolomu now going to take away these backhands, playing a little bit safe here at this game. Not looking to go for those mid camps. Just trying to get some safe farm. He needs to have more of an impact this game, Tomolomu, compared to the last one. And he should have more of an impact early, being on a Poseidon, rather than a very late game Kronos.
Usher pulled into tower, but not really much damage going to be done, and El Chaco is going to be the one left with actually minimal HP after that engagement. And over in the dual lane, it's actually been fairly even. You'd be kind of surprised. You would think that a Sobek and an Ana should have a fairly easy time against a Gebbet and Jingwei, both were fairly weak clear early on, but it seems like Legacy, they're just putting on just enough pressure to actually keep themselves in this dual lane matchup.
I think it's just kind of the class of limits and Sharks really showing through there. But yeah, I agree with you. It is still, even with the kind of, if you accept any skill disparity between the players, it's very difficult to see how an Ana and Sobek would be even just going even in this lane rather than completely dominating. I suppose it's a little bit of jitters from the last game, not wanting to, still feeling like they're behind, which is something you can't do as a professional player. You have to recognize that once a game's done, it's done, and get yourself in the mindset for the next game.
And it doesn't help as well that Jingwei has those mind games also with the Sobek, so when you want to go in for that pluck on the Jingwei, suddenly you're out of position, but the Jingwei is able to fall back to safety, and that can set up for a lot of very nasty combinations if played correctly by Legacy. So that's the little thing going through Sheepman's head as he is playing as the sub this week. Sharks though getting pulled back.
Oh goodness, what an excellent time Salmon Leap there from Chuckles, saves him from Zaze's ultimate. If that was a second later, Chuckles was gone there, but very nicely timed there from Chuckles, gets himself out of dodge and almost falling down for the first blood, but Sin Gaming unfortunately unable to complete the combination.
Yeah, Zay's really making actual good use of the Anvil of Dawn. As soon as he hit level 5, just went straight for the gank over in the solo lane, which we usually see, and it's a bit of a shame that he wasn't able to find the kill, but it's still going to throw El Choco's just slightly off, and now Ardio actually does have the level lead, so that's going to be a nice little advantage for them, especially because Ardio doesn't really have an ultimate to work with, so being El Choco's away from his ultimate for that a little bit longer is going to be kind of nice for the Artio.
Tomolomu actually finds himself ahead of Idavine at this stage, something he didn't see at all last game, so Sin Gaming really need to exploit that now. Their Poseidon's in a pretty good position. He's going to have enough money for boots soon as well. If he can get those pen boots online, that's going to be it's going to be a really impactful Kraken when it comes through. He needs to back soon though. He's got a lot of gold in hand and he needs to make use of it, but at this stage of the game he's not as efficient as he could be. He's only got 1400 gold though, so one more wave and he should probably back.
Yeah, he really needs to also start rotating around the map, just using those Krakens as soon as possible. Obviously, at this point in the game, you're not really looking to get the multi-man Krakens. If you can just get one ADC or even just one support or jungler inside that Kraken, that's all you really need to kind of accelerate your farm, and especially because you do have that early game advantage over the Yanis, you need to use it as soon as possible, because once Yanis starts hitting that spike, starts actually doing a lot of damage with the Unstable Vortex, Tomolomu is going to be finding it a lot harder to actually stay relevant in this game.
He's taking a lot of damage here, but Osher returns the favor onto El Chuckles. Couple of ultimates used there by both teams. Actually, no, sorry, just Chuckles using his ultimate there. And Sin coming out on top of this fight over on the right-hand side, really exploiting the power of Ardio in her bear form there was Osher, and doing a really nice job of it. He needs to find a kill soon, though, over in this right-hand side and start rotating around. Just as you were saying, you know, how Tomolomu needs to start rotating around the map more, Sin needs to start moving more as well. We saw how successful Darksider were early today, moving as a unit. We've seen how successful Legacy have been moving as a unit, and that's what Sin Gaming need to do. They need to start playing kind of in a bit more as a team.
Yeah, especially Sin Gaming only just now securing themselves the Oracle Harpies after a fairly hard-fought battle against Idavine and his Unstable Vortex. So Sin Gaming, they now have that War Vision over the Gold Fury, as well as they already have some fairly decent War Vision in the mid lane. So they can possibly look to even start an early Gold Fury as and just kind of hanging around this mid camp, looking at both El Chalkers and Freemason for a possible pluck.
Alright, mid lane now. Tomolomu, Zaze, and Sheep ain't going to be farming this one up. Gold Fury could be looked at soon by one of these teams, but they need to make sure that they have the vision and they have the control in that area.
Yeah, especially if they can do some nice zoning using both the Sobek, the Poseidon, and the Thor wall, which is going to be a really important spacing tool to really lock people out of fights. Even though Yanis, he can go through portals, if you just block that portal either using the Whirlpool or using a Thor wall, suddenly Yanis isn't so mobile as he once thought. So that's going to be really the key for Sin Gaming to try and shut down Legacy.
Rana and Zaze on this left-hand side, not really getting much push here onto Limits and Idivine. Looking like Zaze, he's going to go up into the air. He's trying to find out Freemason in his mid lane, but Freemason's already back under tower. They find Shark with an excellent time. Cataclysm though from Shark, Zaze from the CC. It's not going to save him from all the damage coming out of Sin. And Sin Gaming get first blood, but Freemason excellently plucks back in Tomolomu after he was hit by the through space of time from Idivine. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. First blood though does importantly go to Sin Gaming.
Yeah, Sin Gaming getting the first blood is actually a fairly big deal. Obviously, it is a bit of a shame that they did lose Tomolomu for a support over in the solo lane as well. El Chuck was actually able to zone away Osher, who's actually fairly low mana at this point. So Legacy, they can even look to possibly even invade the speed buff over that kill. So Sin, they need to be a little bit careful not to get caught out with the fact, especially that Zaze doesn't have much health nor mana to speak of. While Freemason, he is absolutely ready to go in.
Freemason trying to secure the speed buff along with the rest of his team. They will do so. Take that away from Sid Gaming. Osher really needs to back here. He doesn't have a TP either, which makes backing really rough for him. He can't get back to lane or to a ward very quickly at all. He's got to stick around and get his blue buff and then back, which I think is a good call, given the fact that Legacy had just invaded.
Yeah, now with that blue buff in hand, she does have that one level loss behind Chuck, because he's actually been doing fairly well in Luke Cullen, managing to get that extra little bit of farm thanks to that invade earlier on. So Idaho now starting to fall behind as well. So Sin Gaming, they need to keep on top of these levels, and sure, as we mentioned, Legacy don't get aided, because that's when they're going to hit their stride, and things are going to get a lot harder from that point on, especially because Limits, he's been having a fairly free farm sort of a game. He hasn't really been pressured at all by this Arnher, who's starting to lose that early game power spike.
Osher nearly solid under his tower here by Chuckles, but Chuckles has to back away as he takes all of the aggro. He still wants to go in here. Osher, lazy backing. Osher, what are you doing, man? You're on 2 HP and you're backing right in front of Cullen. Come on, man.
And even while that's going on, Legacy, they're not able to steal away the red buff, but they are going to force them away. Rana as well, forced to back off. As now Legacy, they can get their full attention to this goal tree now that every single member of Sin Gaming has been zoned away, getting themselves the Oracle Harpies, and not pushing it like they're just going to return back to lane, not doing anything else other than just getting that ward vision. So a nice, just mapped wide pressure for Legacy, just going completely in their favor.
If we look at the graphs, we can see that they've got the gold and experience advantage. About 2,800 experience, about half that much in gold. So not too serious of a lead at this point, especially when compared with last game. But even still, Legacy can definitely be the kind of team to build off that. But now Osher finds himself 2 levels down to El Chuckles, and they were really relying on this RDO to carry them, and he's not going to be able to do so. Rana Brother with an excellent impale forces Freemason back there and actually prevents Legacy from taking that tower, because Legacy started going after Rana for the kill and overcommitted to it too hard, and now they're forced away from the tower. So really nice play there out of the Sin ADC.
Yeah, that's one of the really nice things about the Arnher, the whole displacement, using your impel as well as shifting tenants to just make it a lot harder for those to actually try and aggress upon you, especially someone like Susanoo, who has to get fairly close, and even Jingwei, who's going to be trying to really get up in your grill and do a lot of, try and box you out in these team fights. So it's going to be a nice little bit of relief for Rana Barana to just kind of stay back that a little bit and ensure that he doesn't lose that tier 1 tower and has an actual place to farm instead of just under a tier 2 tower.
Up in the sky looking for a target here, thinking about crashing down onto Idivine under his tower, but instead just goes back down in the mid lane. Seems like communication's a real problem for Sin Gaming here. A lot of times Zaze has gone up in the air looking for a target, but his team hasn't been ready to commit or hasn't been in position here, and it's really costing them a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, especially with Thor, the whole point of Thor is you want to be looking for these teamfights in the early game, crashing down, using, in fact, you have quite a bit of tankiness from your Thor passive to get a few kills, but instead as the game gets foiled by Tomolom, we see that Legacy, they by right should get this Gold Fury for absolutely free. There's no one in the area to be able to stop them, and especially now with the Thor ultimate available to them. Oh, it looks like Zaze is disconnecting, so that might explain why a possible misclick of the ultimate there.
Yeah, that could be very, very well true there. Yeah, unfortunate there for Sin Gaming, but these are the kinds of things you have to live with. Gold Fury, as you mentioned, is going to be taken down here pretty quickly by Legacy once we get out of this pause. No one from Sin Gaming even really in the area. Take a look at our builds now. Main thing I want to kind of focus on is, again, Idivine going for this very cooldown-centric build. He got Santa Time for his starter item, cooldown boats, and now he's going into the Spirit Desolation, so that'll give him 30% cooldown, roughly around the 12-13 minute mark. So That's going to be a lot of portals. There's going to be a lot of mobility around the map for the side of Legacy Esports. So I really like the kind of the recognition from iDivine to build in that manner, to realize that what his team needs from him is more mobility than necessarily damage.
Not to mention as well, we actually have seen iDivine just completely foregoing the Book of Thoth. A lot of the time, a quite an often key pickup for the Yanis, giving him a lot of mana, because his abilities are very expensive. Even though he does have quite the largest mana pool in the game, his abilities are there to compensate. So the fact he picks up these Shoes of Focus to kind of substitute out the Book of Thoth necessity is quite a nice pickup, so he can go straight into things, as you mentioned, like the Spirit of Desolation, like the Obsidian Shard, to ensure he can just be relevant in this game as the Gold Fury falls to Legacy.
iDivine's using not the Fear Weevil, the Through Space of Time to both secure that one and get his team a passage out of there. Sin Gaming were rotating in. Chuckles looking to take the one-on fight with Osher here. He is 2 levels above him. Osher is RDO though, so he can do a significant amount of damage, even went behind. Sheepman's rotating in now as well, so Chuckles is going to back off. The rest of Sin Gaming is here, and they're looking for the portal game. Going to like this call to give themselves a little bit of golden experience back, which they lost when the Gold Fury was taken by Legacy Esports. So Sin Gaming going to get themselves a little bit of a win here. Maybe not too big of a cost though, as it looks like the rest of Legacy is going to be rotating in, possibly looking for a kill. Sharks though, he's going to be the one plucked back in. 3-man Cataclysm, excellent way from him. Tomaloma is knocked up. Chuckles looking for a kill here onto the mid laner. Sin Gaming gets a lot of damage off, but not quite enough to find the kill. So Sin Gaming barely escaping.
That was just a really smart call from them, understanding that they had the time to not only finish up the portal team, but were able to retreat in time. They didn't actually go overly aggressive and try and be greedy, trying to find those kills in that team fight. Instead, understanding they need to just take their wins where they can and slowly build their way back into this game. They still are slightly behind thanks to that loss of the Gold Fury just recently. So Sin Gaming, they are still very much in this game, unlike last game, which was fairly one-sided. Sin Gaming doing a nice job to keep themselves in it.
Even still, the golden experience is well in favor of Legacy, with about 3,000 experience, almost the same in terms of gold as well. So Sin needs to be really careful. They need to tread very carefully in the next few minutes here, because this is now the time. This is the kind of the critical phase of the game where they're doing all right for themselves so far, but they haven't kind of wiped themselves out of the game. As we see that Zay's going to get picked up here by iDivine and Freemason. Tomalom is the next target, who falls to Freemason's ultimate as well. So just as I was saying, Sin Gaming need to be careful not tip themselves over the precipice. They lose 2 members, and now it looks like their tier 1 tower is going to be focused down as well.
Yeah, with limits already on the scene, it's not going to take them very long at all to finish off this tier 1 tower in the mid lane. That was just a very easy kill for them, as Freemason gets himself impaled to the wall, but thanks to the Geb, able to get away for absolutely scot-free. So Legacy finding themselves not only 2 kills, but a tier 1 tower, and possibly actually a second tier 1, thanks to Chuckles doing split push work over in the solo lane to boot.
Now, looking at the graphs, 5,000 experience, 4,000 gold, hugely in favor of Legacy, and you can increase that as well by 1 tower's worth after the solo tier 1 tower falls down as well. You know, Links, what has Sin Gaming got to do to get back in this game?
It's going to get a lot harder from here, especially now that the Junwei has actually overtaken the Anher and Farm, as this boxing match has actually just begun. Obviously, you have the slight advantage thanks to the shifting sands, but with Sharks now making his way into the scene, it's not going to be an easy kill. Limits finding himself a very easy 2-on-1 kill thanks to help from Sharks.
He's diving in there though with his ultimate and will find Limits. Freemason though is going to pluck him back. No teleport available for Zaze. No way for him to get away. Divine going to pick him up with the unstable vortex. So Zaze gets a kill but pays for it with his life. And I don't know that necessarily was worth it, but given how far ahead Limits is compared to him, maybe it was worth it in terms of the bounties.
Yeah, and especially with the dev time actually not being that long. It's only going to be another 17 seconds till Zaze is back in the fight. He's going to be quite gladly trading himself away, knowing that he doesn't have to really be that hyper carry assassin like a Kali or like a Susanoo. Can be a little bit behind, but as long as he can supply the CC necessary to his team, that's where Zaze is going to really be able to shine, and hopefully we'll be able to see that a little bit more in the coming late game team fights. As we mentioned earlier, he hasn't really been able to demonstrate the true power of the Thor, as the Anvil of Dawn's just not really been on the mark until just now.
Legacy look like they're taking a little bit of a breather at this point, with pretty much every single map objective at the moment is down except for their own speed buff. So nothing really for them to overcommit on this stage. Zaze looks like he was trying to get some poke there onto iDivine, but not going to be able to find it. But yeah, as I said, Legacy can afford to take a little bit of a breather here. Okay, I didn't mean for them to take it literally and take a pause, but still, they can afford to kind of slow the game down at this point. They can afford to really take their time with how they play out the next little passage of play, given that they're team composition is a little bit more suited to the late game. They're happy to just stalemate for a little while, get up some items that some core items they want to get online, and then look to push Sin out.
Yeah, especially once we get both the percentage-based sort of penetration items for both the Yanis and the Jingwei, I think Legacy are really going to just floor the gas pedal and try and find a lot of the kills, because that's what's going to be the key to taking out this RDO. You need that penetration to really shred away any protections. Even with Thor as well as Sobek, you will definitely need that penetration, and that's what Legacy can, as you said, just take the time to slowly farm up and not really be worried about forcing any sort of team fight.
Alright, left hand side, Rana's going to get knocked up from Sharks, misses the impale. Idavine's rotating over this side as well. Sin Gaming cannot afford to really be pushing too hard at this stage with the minimal ward coverage that they have, and recognizing that, they back off to their own tower. Where do you think Legacy's next push is coming through, Lynx?
Legacy's next push, it's probably going to be over in the dual lane. That tier 1 tower is going to be sticking out like a sore thumb, especially you really want to get rid of the Phoenix over in the dual lane. That's the priority, especially when you want to be going for objectives like a Fire Giant. So Legacy probably going to be looking for that next, as Sin trying to stop them from getting themselves a free Oracle Harp, with the Sharks taking a lot of damage.
He's going to fall down there to Tomolomi, but through space of time, comes through from Idavine. Great lead there from Brana to go over the top of that ability. Freemason's ultimate comes through, runs the target as the airstrike from Limits will pick him up. Sheepman taking a lot of damage. Magic Shell will save his life, and now good stun there by Osha onto Idavine, preventing him from doing any damage, and Idavine needs to escape. Zay's chased down by Limits and Freemason, so it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Legacy Esports.
Yeah, and I think Legacy are going to be very happy to lose only a support and take away the ADC, who's one of the very few members who can actually steal away the Fire Giant, as well as baiting out the Kraken, which is the other way they can actually, if anything, steal a Gold Fury away. So Legacy, they're going to take the Gold Fury, happily put that into their coffers, and finish off those necessary rounds. If we look at Golden Hand, we actually see Idavine 1800 Golden Hand, so that's going to allow him to finish up the Obsidian Shard, giving him that really nice mid-game power spike. And as I said, Legacy, if they won, they can really just go for that gas pedal and floor it.
Yeah, they're really in the driver's seat at this stage of the game. Portally when a Fire Giant can start to be kind of more seriously considered by Legacy. The only thing is that even though they are up in experience, they don't have a huge lead, and they're not hugely well off in terms of the experience department. Like, the highest level is only level 16. Not really kind of, you really want your average level to be about 16 before you start considering Fire Giants, with the exceptions of Decisive and things like that. But still, I think Legacy, while they've got themselves this great lead, they need to be careful not to get too ahead of themselves. Need to make sure that they're still farming. Freemason absolutely caught out here between 3 people, 100-0 in a matter of seconds, thanks to Tomolomu's crack combination. Zay's going up into the sky now, looking for a target here. Who's it going to be? It's going to be someone in the back line. It's going to be actually El Chuckles here on the front. Through space of time comes through from Idavine and hits Tomolomu. Limits turns the fight around and picks up Zay's. And now Legacy, they win the 4v5 and looking to keep the fight going.
Yes, we see Rana going in with a nice desert, just a nice leap to knock up some people, as well as Tomolomi with a great whirlpool onto 2 members. Idavine, though, able to find one last kill on Limits, actually able to get the kill onto Tomolomi. The damage is just too much for Sin Gaming. Forced retreat, Rana and She-Man getting focused down as the charged prey used to run away. Idavine, Sharks, and Limits still on the chase, trying to land that portal. Jingwei agility to finally finish off the job onto Rana Barana.
Divine was huge in that fight. There's a Decisive, and Legacy, they're going to look for this portal demon here, not the Fire Giant. They're not healthy enough to really look for this Fire Giant at this stage, but Idavine was huge in that fight, taking out so many members through space of time, getting Tomolomu down to about half HP, and then the Unstable Vortex is shredding through everyone, given the huge amount of penetration he has online.
And it didn't help that Sin Gaming really just tried to focus that El Chakras with both the Kraken as well as a few other ultimates being used upon him. So that just allowed Idavine to fall back, allowing Limits to fall back. And as soon as they were able to fall back and dish out their DPS from such a long range, they were able to just completely dominate in that teamfight. And now, Legacy, they're the ones with the advantage once again, as Osha possibly caught out between 4 members.
Good knock up there from Sharks. Osha trying to get away here, trying to deal some damage before he falls down, which he probably inevitably will. Zaze is here with some supporting, so Osha might pops the Magic Shell, pops the stun as well, but a great knock up from Limits into an auto attack will finish him off. Freemason with the Typhoon knocks up a couple of members, but that was a great pick off there for Legacy. Zaze landing in the middle of 3 people, wards him off, but he's taking so much damage himself. Pulled back in by Freemason. Drew's base of time comes out, and Tomolom is picked up. Rana's picked up. Zaze is picked up. Everyone on Sin Gaming is picked up as we get our second Decisive of the game, and Legacy a little bit split here. Do we go for the tier 2 tower? Do we go for the Fire Giant? And the call is going to be for Fire Giant.
Yeah, Legacy, they are completely dominating now. It seems to me that Sin Gaming are almost at this point until they just threw themselves into the team fight with reckless abandon, and they weren't able to find any of the key pickers, and as soon as Zays just missed the Anvil of Dawn, they really should have backed out, but they were just determined to try and find something, any sort of kill, and now Legacy 418, not to mention they also had the Fire Giant, as well as they finished off the Tier 2 tower in the solo lane.
Take a look at the graphs, and now it is catapulted to a huge lead for Legacy here. 16,000 experience, 12,000 gold. Just a terrible fighting deck of Sin. I'm not sure what the coordination was or the target, but all it took was for one member to get caught out, and the rest of the team came running into the blender that is Legacy. And now Legacy, they've got themselves the Fire Giant. Luckily for Sin, they do have a lot of towers still left up at this point, so they've got a lot of kind of room to breathe on that side. They don't have to worry necessarily about the game ending right now, but it is going to cost them a whole lot.
Well, those towers are really only going to be there for a moment longer. We already have a Shogun's Kusari on the Geb. Jingwei's level 17, and with combining that with the Shogun's Kusari means towers are going to disappear in a moment. Rana already getting forced away from this tier 1 tower as Zays goes into the sky.
Tier 1 tower on the left-hand side is going to fall. Zays looking for a... Zay's going to drop straight back down, basically. Sheepman taking a lot of damage through space and time. Huge there for iDefine. In goes the rest of Legacy. Chuckles diving forward. Limits actually is the one that dives forward. He gets 2 kills. Nearly pays for it with his life. And everyone on Sin is just falling down like dominoes. Limits with a triple kill. Another Decisive for Legacy. I don't think I've ever seen 3 Decisives for one team in one game before.
That is... As I said, I feel like this is just chill to this point. Legacy already going to be barreling through this Phoenix, and they can just go for time. I don't think they're going to even go for the next Phoenix possibly. They're just going to want to go for the end. And I mean, just look at the play damage numbers, especially Limits, doing 12, 1, and 6 with 15,000 play damage only 20 minutes in. That was an even more one-sided fight in the second set, as they were just able to clean sweep it, I should say, 2-0, which is going to be quite important for seeding going into the next LAN.
Yeah, so Legacy Esports secure themselves a spot at LAN. Sin Gaming are in a really rough spot, could potentially qualify themselves for LAN next week when they face up Darksided, but Legacy Esports have cemented themselves for a spot at the Oceania Regional Finals at PAX Australia, so very nice work there by Legacy Esports. Congratulations. All right, that's going to do it for our second set of the day. We're going to go to a short break. We're back with our third and final set, Scylla Esports up against Kanga.